If you Google search Alexandria Ocasio-Cortez gaffes, you get greeted by a ton of articles. Her statements on Palestine and Israel, her statements on healthcare, how much money it would cost. There's a fact check article from Washington Post that says Democrats are cherry picking data. There's a lot of things you can criticize Ocasio-Cortez on. The best thing you can do is not even focus on the gaffes. If I'm going to be critical of Cortez, I'm not going to talk about areas where she made mistakes. I have in the past. But I'm not a politician, and I'm not trying to help or hurt her. I just want to highlight some of the issues that I have with her. And so she's right for criticism in a lot of places. I don't think I'm perfect, and perhaps I should take my own advice. So we'll go over this, recognizing that maybe I should listen to myself, but maybe it was sort of a realization that I had. Look, Cortez believes, like I made a video talking about her policies, how she talks about the gaffes she made, but also how she talked about federal jobs guarantees, college for all, Medicare for all, things that I don't think are actually possible or would be massively detrimental to our economy and probably can't be implemented for a long time, and just general stuff I don't agree with. And I think when you respectfully, stand before Cortez and say, look, I understand she has gaffes. A lot of people do. It's unfortunate. But look at her ideas and say, I understand what she's saying. Don't take her out of context. Don't misconstrue what she's saying, and then challenge her ideas. I made a video the other day critical of her because she equated what Ben Shapiro's debate offer to catcalling, which is sexual harassment, right? That was a loud and powerful statement, which I think should be criticized because it is overtly political. However, we got this tweet here from Ryan Saavedra, and you can see what I put, but let me show you what he said first. He said, Democrat Alexandria Ocasio-Cortez speaks, walks off stage in Hawaii, forgetting to introduce Canela Ng at his own rally. So let me play it.
I want to introduce to you my brother in that struggle, our brother in that struggle, but our champion for that vision, who will fight for that 2 days from now, but also who will fight for it in the decades to come, Canela.
That's it. So what Ryan Saavedra tweeted was not overtly insulting, just said she walks off and forgot to introduce and endorse Canela Ng at his own rally. And that's just a factual statement, literally just a factual statement. But the reason I highlighted it is because it's kind of like, why are you highlighting a simple mistake like this? She walked off the stage, came back, and then said, with that, and she put her finger up, and you'll notice people laughed. And this is what we need to talk about. So I tweeted in response, so what? Why don't you challenge her ideas instead of highlighting silly mistakes? I think he responded to me. I don't know if it's within the tweets, but I want to go through some of the responses because I got a ton. Look at this. We got 259 responses, 72 retweets, 700 likes. Listen, that video to me was actually endearing. It humanizes Ocasio-Cortez and makes her come off as like a regular person who really is fighting for you. In fact, I wouldn't be surprised if that was on purpose, because that's not a political gaffe. Not only that, when you highlight things like this, you do draw away from her gaffes and her policy ideas. Don't make the fight about silly personal things, pencils have erasers. When I saw that video and she came back out and then said with that and put her finger up and everyone laughed, I laughed too. It made me smile. It made me feel like she's a regular person who you can relate to. And so, if conservatives want to highlight this to mock her, to belittle her, you're actually doing the opposite. It's a disservice to the integrity of political debate, and it is a service to Cortez when you look petty and make her look human, okay? This is why we should always be professional, respectful. I'm not always professional, respectful, especially on this channel, I kind of rag on people sometimes. But we should be, so that we can say, look, I understand and respect Cortez and her ideas. I personally disagree, and I would like to actually say these things. It doesn't mean she'll ever respond to you. It makes things difficult. But let's look at some of the responses. I want to address some of the things people said to me because it would seem like people disagree. And I was going to go through and start responding to people, and I was like, let's just make a video and talk about taking the high road. What's this? What's, you know, they said during like 2016, like when they take the low road, we'll go high or something. Let's go high here and see what people say. So the first response is, no one answers challenges, just ask Ben Shapiro. Right. I'm not saying to openly challenge Ocasio-Cortez to a debate. I'm saying that instead of tweeting out a video where she made a really silly mistake that probably doesn't matter to anybody, you maybe tweet about how she's calling for a federal jobs guarantee and you'd like to know where that money would come from. Better yet, she's saying that she wants a 28% corporate tax to help fund school, Medicare, and things like that. But she also, the DSA has advocated for open borders, right? So she is a democratic socialist. They advocate for no borders. If you oppose borders, how do you stop corporations from leaving our jurisdiction, right? Those are kind of ideas that I think you should tweet about instead of her making a silly but kind of humorous and humanizing mistake. So someone responded, I don't think he meant a direct challenge or cage fight, but writing about her actual policy positions in-person, yes, right. In-person debates are not a useful way to interrogate ideas. They're more about who better presents an idea rhetorically. That's true. Debates aren't always that great. They're fun. You know, if you want to, stand up to scrutiny, by all means, debates are great. But thoughtful written statements and videos, I think, would be better. And I mentioned this makes the right look weak, pointing out that she forgot to introduce someone. In fact, the video's endearing. I smiled and chuckled when I watched it, not because it makes me think less of Cortez, but because it shows that she is a human and doing her best. It made her relatable. So many people are going to see that and they're going to be like, I know exactly what that feels like. We have that dream where you're in, there's the trope of the dream where you're in school in your underwear, people in embarrassing situations. I'm sure after she got off stage, there were smiles from all the people, like chuckles, like, you're just like one of us. And that's one of the most powerful things in politics, relatability. People said that George W. Bush didn't come off like a wealthy elite, and that's why he won, because he was relatable. They say the same thing about Donald Trump, right? Donald Trump ordered a fancy, like an aged steak, well done with ketchup. And the media lambasted him, saying like, oh my God, who orders a steak and eats it with ketchup? My God, Trump, you ruined it. And I assure you, it was on purpose, right? This is my opinion, it was on purpose. I would not be surprised if there's someone sitting in their living room, middle to lower class, who can't afford an aged, a dry-aged prime filet mignon, perfect cut. So the best thing they can do is get that store-bought T-bone and cook it well done because it tastes like crap. And so they splash some ketchup on it. I grew up eating steak with ketchup. And it is, and I'll tell you what, I'm not gonna let it affect me. But I grew up with chewy steak, fried well done with ketchup. And that's what we eat when we're poor, growing up on the South Side. And when you see Trump doing that, it's relatable. And then when the media attacks him for it, makes fun of him, you know what happens? People go, why is the media attacking? I'm like, well, I eat well done steak with ketchup. Why are they're insulting me now? And that's what you do. When you roll your eyes and go, oh, poor Ocasio-Cortez can't stand up with the big boys. She forgot to introduce someone. There are going to be a bunch of people who are going to see that and be like, oh man, I did a presentation last week. I did the same thing. I walked out before the last slide. Oh, that was so embarrassing. I know exactly how you feel. It's human, man. It's relatable. It's distracting. So Recatech said, I agree it amounts to a cheap shot, but in general, I've seen the videos of left-right interaction minus bike lock thumpings. The left refuses to converse with the right, opting instead to revert to name-calling and other refusals of discussion. May be cheap, it's all that's left. Sure. But look at it this way. There are moderates. There are people who don't know where to vote, okay? And that's what's really important. They're trying to figure out. Ocasio-Cortez is trying to convince them to vote for her and her people and her side and progressives and democratic socialists. If you approach them as enemies and mock them for silly things, there are going to be moderates who go, I don't care if she didn't introduce somebody. People like me, for instance, right? I'm rather centrist. I'm center left. If you want to convince me that Ocasio-Cortez isn't worth voting for, you can't show me this, because when I look at that, look at everything I've said so far. Look at my response. Now recognize that they're going to be moderate center left individuals who are feeling the exact same way as me. I'm sure many of you watching are in agreement too. I'm sure a lot of people are in disagreement, but think about everything I've said and how I feel and how I'm conveying it, and that's what you're conveying. And think about the possibilities if you approached it more professionally and said, like Ben Shapiro's appeal, like seriously, Ben Shapiro's appeal to Cortez was wonderful, professional. He congratulated her. He said it's amazing. Congratulations. They've elevated you to this position, calling you the future of the Democratic Party. I would love to have a conversation with you. Absolutely respectful. And She didn't. She responded by calling it catcalling, and then he shot back saying how actually and mocked her a little bit. I think he shouldn't have done that because he had the high road. He still wins in terms of PR. He's not a politician, but he's getting attention because of it. But the way he made that appeal was on point. And here's what happens: he makes the appeal, and then people start attacking him for it. He should have taken the high road again and said, here's my response. I would say, I don't really want to debate, but if it were me, I'd say, I would love, congratulations on everything you've done. I respect and appreciate a lot of your positions and a lot of stuff you're working on. I can't imagine it's easy. I would love to sit down and have a conversation and figure out where your beliefs are, what you think does and doesn't work, and really just get to the core of how to improve things. We can frame it as a debate if you'd like and raise money for charity. And then if she came out and said it was like catcalling, my response would be something to the effect of, I'm disappointed that my offer was turned down. I meant it entirely in good faith, and I apologize if anyone thought otherwise. The offer remains on the table, and hopefully you will be willing to sit down and consider talking with someone who isn't your ideological tribe mate or whatever. I would say something to the effect of, look, no disrespect, please. I'm trying to make this offer in good faith. I'm disappointed at your response. I meant no disrespect, and I apologize if you felt that way. The offer is on the table. I would really love to have a conversation with you. Let's figure out how to work together and bridge that divide and have a good conversation. Let me know if you'll be interested. That's what you should do. That's what politics should be. But you know what I think? I think that there are people who want the attention, and I think to an extent Ben wants attention. I don't think he's entirely disingenuous. I've got a fly bothering me. You can tell this today. But I think even Ocasio-Cortez, she wants to get attention from it. I'm going to read just a couple more responses, and then we'll get out of here. So someone said, with all due respect, she has no ideas. I responded, federal job guarantee, college for all, Medicare for all. She's also a DSA member, and they have pushed for no profit, no borders, and no prisons. These are things that really need to be brought up. If she gets elected, and then she starts advocating DSA positions like no profit, that's literal socialism. That's really bad. It's like saying there should be no economy, essentially, And then someone responded laughing, saying there's no way she will win. Right. After you heard how I brought up her ideas and the DSA, you said there's no way she'll win. But if you make fun of her for simple, endearing mistakes, she will. She will win, right? And that's what people need to pay attention to. Look, I grew up doing fundraising. 10 years ago, I was a nonprofit fundraiser. I was a director. It was my job to talk to people and to be convincing and to try and show them what I think is the right way to do it. There are people in politics that just want to attract the existing voter base because it's easy. And there are some people in politics that want to find new voters. Trump won because he lit up a bunch of areas that didn't vote before. That was smart. And that's why a lot of the polls were wrong, because they were looking at known voters. Alexandria Ocasio-COrtez did the same thing, finding people who didn't vote before. That means if you want to convince these people who have never voted not to vote for her, you can't take the low road, and you can't just, look over at your right-wing buddies and nudge them and say, hey, vote for me, look at this loony. You've got to be like, hey, if you're conservative, I disagree with this, and if you're a new voter, let me give you a calm reason why I think what she's saying is not going to work, and we'll have a real conversation. And that's really it. I don't want to read through, all of them entirely. I just wanted to talk about it and express my ideas on, if in the past I haven't been respectful enough, then by all means, you guys can rag on me all day and night. But upon seeing that, I kind of felt like maybe we shouldn't focus on silly mistakes and focus on actual policy ideas. And I hope I do that. But I'm not infallible. By all means, I bet you can go through all of my YouTube videos and find me changing my opinions on a fairly often basis, because that's what we do. We're humans. And it is what it is. So, I'll be interested to see if she actually wins, because it's still possible Crowley, he's on the ballot. He could still win. And that would be crazy. I don't know what the chances are. Don't ask me. I'm not going to predict anything. But anyway, thanks for hanging out. Stick around. And, I've got no more videos today, but I'll see you tomorrow on the main channel at 4 p.m.